Hello, pleasure seekers. Welcome to my virtual cave, also known as Google Hangouts, where I get to have tea with fabulous female entrepreneurs and badass chicks. So in my years of working with women, both in my coaching practice and in my movement classes, I've come to realize the vast importance of pleasure as a form of medicine for us. And so in these sessions, we come together to explore the role of pleasure in different aspects of our lives as women. And today I have with me Becca Piastrelli from the Dabblist. Hi, Becca.
Hi.
Thank you for being here.
So happy to be here.
So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about Becca, and then we're going to dive straight in, okay? So Becca is the woman behind the Dabblist. Her manifesto, which is so awesome, is to rid the taboo around the term the dabbler, and instead to infuse it with a sense of alchemy and wonder, because she knows that when we bring an inquisitive heart to the process of creating with our own two hands, and share stories and creations with each other, we remember the ancient wisdom within. So we get to tap into what our great-great-great-grandmothers once knew, which is that given the freedom to dabble, we can be the creators of our own joy. So welcome again, Becca.
Thank you so much. It's nice to hear my bio read because it reminds me why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because like we don't read our bios often. I'm like, oh yeah, that's it. That's what I'm doing. Cool.
Yeah, and I love it because, you know, lots of times it's like, you know, that we have the very standard, like, I went this and I got certified doing that, and this is so, there's so much of the heart and soul in it, so I really appreciate that.
Yeah, cool.
So let's start off by just telling us a little bit about your journey in birthing the Dabblist, sort of, you know, what you were doing before and how you came about this really, really strong passion to do what you're doing now on the site.
Yeah, so I'll try to keep it short because I like always start at childhood, but the abridged version. When I was a child, I was playful and I climbed trees and talked to them and had imaginary friends and had an alter ego named Madam who had an elaborate handshake with everyone she met, and you know, I just like assumed the flowers had names, and I just like didn't give a shit about anything that people thought about me. I just was like living intuitively and just like doing what I want, right? And then when I was 8, I tested into the gifted program and was sent to another school to be on the fast track to like go to college. And basically at the age of 8, I was aware of like the order of things, and like I wanted to be at the top, because if you're at the top, you like win life. And so from age 8 on, I mean, that's when I started to be an anxious child, an anxious person who, you know, had my eye on the prize and went for it. And so I made it all the way to business school, got my MBA, graduated with my MBA, got a job at a successful tech startup here in San Francisco Bay Area. We got acquired. All of a sudden, a year and a half ago, I found myself as a high-level manager at a billion-dollar software company, having made it, having won, having gone linearly straight to the top. And I like to say I climbed to the top of the ladder and realized it was leaning against the wrong wall.
Great analogy.
I mean, you're just like, what's up, life? This is feeling really, you know, confusing and scary. But there was an inner wisdom throughout all of this, which was sort of my curious, dabbling nature. And despite my day job being sort of like eye on the prize focus, there was like my night and weekend persona of like creating and trying and wanting to go to workshops and testing and all this stuff. And I ended up starting my blog. That was 3 years ago on the side. Something just compelled me to create things, take pictures with my iPhone, and share it. And I remember one day in my job, I had just finished like a perfectly rehearsed presentation to my CEO. He like gave me congratulations, and people were like, "Oh, Becca, you're so lucky." And all I wanted to do was run home and like check my kombucha, my homemade kombucha. And that to me was like, oh, and like giving myself permission to be like, that's cool, that's okay, and sort of follow that thread. And the beauty of the internet is my blog grew. I got a lot of community on Pinterest, beautiful people on Pinterest who sort of brought me into this world enough for me to really say, one, I don't have to work this corporate job. It's not for me. And two, there's something to this playing, this dabbling, this working with my hands that really makes me feel something I've never felt in my life, like a wholeness, a contentment, a joy, a wonder. And I'll end there because I could just keep going, but basically that brings me to today, where I now facilitate that process for other women.
Oh, that's a great story, and it's so true, like how much we can find so much joy in doing things with our hands, and it's amazing how much we've gotten to a point, I think, right now in our culture and our society where that's very much looked down upon. Like you were saying, this idea of like reversing the dabbling from a negative connotation and taking off that, getting rid of the taboo, and really revolutionizing the idea that dabbling is actually a key element to our joy and also in our ancestry. It's like if you look back, like women were doing things with their hands. It was just part of, if not all of our day was with our hands, and now so much of it is like up here in our heads. So I'm just wondering, like, as you were coming up with the idea, did you find any push and pull inside yourself, like as you were creating the company and starting all the beautiful workshops and events that you have? Did you find yourself feeling that push and pull between your hands and your head?
Yes, well, we teach what we need to learn, right? So I continue to feel this push and pull. But what I have learned about myself is because I have been so ingrained from an early age to be linear masculine in the sense of like purpose-driven and focused. My medicine is the more feminine flow dabbling. And so I know that I'm always going to, I'm an ambitious woman. I like to talk to women who, just want things for themselves in the world, and the assumption in society is like linear focus, one thing, mastery of one thing, and there's a place for that, but I'm sure, Nadia, you talk about the balance of masculine and feminine and the call back into the feminine, and I really see dabbling as a way to sort of pair with my masculine tendencies to sort of bring me back into center. So I'm up here and I'm getting so worried. What happens is I get tunnel vision in my life, and that creates anxiety, that creates stress, that creates the perception that things happen to us and we don't happen to the world. We are not in control of our destiny. And when we can drop into our body and physically work with our hands, like move, touch, feel, really get into the sensory experience of whatever. I don't care what it is. It could be anything. It could be cooking. It could be painting. It could be walking. It could be making an herbal lip balm. It doesn't matter. The point is not the end result. The point is the doing, so that you can come back into balance and oneness and feel peace and contentment and joy.
Love it. Love it. It just struck me right now, actually, was how much it's a form of meditation in a way, and I'm wondering if you and the women you work with get that experience too. So lots of times people, like my clients, come to me and they're very, same thing, like very goal-oriented and like run, and they're like, oh, Nadia, I just cannot sit down and like not do anything. That would just kill me. So I'm wondering if this is a great transitionary tool also towards a more meditative state where you're still doing something, but in a way you're really taking time off and you're addressing a more flowy, creative, feminine part of you.
Yeah, so what I really talk about with the women I work with is dabbling teaches you presence. And so a lot of feedback I get from my work, people who just find me is, well, I'm not crafty. I'm no Martha Stewart. And I'm like, me neither, girl. And I'm not crafty. Perfection is not the point. So it's always, I'm always bringing women back to like detach from outcome and just be in this moment of creating and listen to your intuition. Does it want to move the flower over there? Does it want to tie the bow this way? Do you want to smell it? Do you want to change? Does that smell weird? Okay, let's try something else. Like, oh, you messed up and it's not working? Cool, let's try something a different way. And that's this exercise in mindfulness, which I think is easier, especially when you're like beginning into this practice, than like sitting and just oming. Like, it's a way to move your body into this space of being present in the moment. And when you're present in the moment, as we know, like clarity comes in all these different ways, and I believe it comes through your hands.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, this idea of presence and not being attached to the outcome is such an important life lesson in general for everything, not just when you're sitting down and trying to craft something, essentially, that's such a beautiful thing to experience. And I think you can have fun in the process of crafting and at the same time take those muscles that and that energy that you're cultivating of presence, of not being attached to outcome, and then bring it back into these other things in the rest of your life, all these other aspects where it is always a lot better to not be attached to the outcome, or to not at least be stressed out about the outcome.
Right. Yeah. I've noticed, because I'm trying to build my business right now, that when I'm really in a space of like almost too devoted to outcome, or just trying to force something, I know immediately like I've got to go make something. I've got to go make something, or I've got to go move my body. There's got to be some movement down here to get this flowing again. And it's I'll see another path, or I'll realize I don't really want this, or I'll find the way through. But yeah, that's sort of my medicine when I'm getting too attached to like the thing.
Yeah, I love it. I have to say, I'm going to share also a similar experience I had. I haven't had the chance to work with you on one of your events, or play, should I say, really. But I did have a similar experience where we had a monthly event that was like a crafts and food event with a bunch of women. And at first I had the same sort of thoughts in my head, like, oh, my art teacher was like, you suck. Like, what am I going to go do? I don't know how to knit. I don't know how to do any of it. And of course, once I let go of all those voices in my head, or I shushed them up, and I actually decided, you know what, I'm going to go for the connection. I'm going to go to see the other woman. And in doing that, I just started to realize that there was a creative side of me, and that I was equally enjoying the process of creating as much as I was the final product I was taking home. And that was a really big lesson for me as well.
Yeah, I think you touch upon something really important that I like to infuse into my work, which is creating in community, creating in sisterhood. And at the beginning of this conversation, we talked about how women, like, our natural state is to come together and to work with our hands, whatever it is, like dyeing cloths, like preparing food, helping birth the babies, like whatever it is, tend to each other when we're bleeding, whatever it is. And I think what you felt and what I try to facilitate in my events is being in the presence of like feminine creative energy. It's just like totally nourishing. It's this like recognition of coming like to your soul's home in a space of movement with your hands and chatting. And I've noticed that these women come to my events to like learn how to make perfume, or like learn how to make a flower crown, which is great and so fun. But then they're having really deep conversations together, and they're opening up, and they're giving each other such love and care and advice, and it's a space of sisterhood. So for me, it's like recreating this like ancient space where women commune.
Yes, that's definitely the experience I had that I wasn't able to, I guess, describe in words is this communal gathering of women, which I think is something that, thank God, with people like you, we're bringing back into the world, because it's so much a part of our history, and yet nowadays it's living in a capitalist world where it's all about productivity and the mind and you know, achieving these goals and going to work and being busy. The sense of gathering, especially amongst women, has really been devalued, and we forget how nourishing it is, and how when you look back at our ancestors, like, they would gather, whether it was to bleed together, or whether it was to knit together, whether it was to cook for the village, or whatever it was that was happening. But there was this sense of sisterhood and camaraderie of sorts that really helped weave a tight-knit community, and that's something I think that we're missing nowadays quite a lot.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the things you talk about with pleasure, right? Like, I think when women, you know, I am in community a lot with women who, like, you buy the house and you have the baby and you have to look like you got it all together, but inside the house you're crying or you're lonely or whatever it is, right? And so when we bring the women together, there's that experience of, like, coming home that's, like, pleasure-inducing, right? And it just bleeds into all the areas of your life. It makes you more productive, right? Like, we've learned, like, taking breaks is, like, better for your productivity than pushing through. And it just makes you a happier, like, a better friend, a better mother, a better sister, a better lover. This just whole concept of, like, following the pleasure, following the wonder, following the beauty. So there's that element as well.
Yeah, no, I love how you tie that all in too, because there is this, again, in being, and I feel like we just keep coming back to it, because probably well, other than it's true, it's like it's you and I's experience quite a lot, which is this idea of, like, getting caught up in linear, in productive, in goal-oriented things, and being constantly reminded that so much of life is about play and joy, and there's just a certain vilification that happened in us growing up. Maybe we were told, okay, now playtime's over, it's time to sit down and get straight A's, or whatever it was that, you know, someone is told. And so I'm wondering if you get a lot of women who come and still have this really deeply ingrained, like, no pain, no gain mentality, and do they come feeling like, is there, like, a block to creativity, a block to play, a block to just dabbling, and what do you find is the best way to approach that when that happens?
That's an awesome question, because I was that woman, and can sometimes still catch myself being that woman. Like, what's the answer? Like, where's the grading rubric? How can I get the A? Like, that, like, feeling like I'll sleep when I'm dead mentality, right? And so I have so much love and compassion for women who are in that space, because I can so feel it. And oftentimes when I'm working with those women, they're the ones who just have a lot of questions, who are like, but do you do it this way? But I read once that this essential oil, you know, is only good when paired with this essential oil, or did I do it right? Like please give me validation. And oftentimes when I work with those women, you know, I keep coming back to, like, let's talk to your intuition. Like, what do you think? You know, and I'll keep answering, because I understand that, like, drive to, like, do it right. And I just keep saying, you know, what do you think? Do you like that? Oh, okay, why don't you try that? Do you like that? Where do you think that's supposed to go? How does that smell to you? You know, just, like, keep having them check in, because it is a practice to come back into, like, inner wisdom and really tap into that dabbling energy that every single woman in the world has. It's just, like, takes a practice to access. So I'll just keep bringing it back to that.
Yeah. I love that. I remember once I was at one of these events and I was doing a body scrub, and I mixed two things that people were like, no, you can't mix these two things. It was like, it is, and, you know, I loved the way it smelled personally, but half the crowd was like, no, we would never put that on our bodies. I'm like, well, it's my body scrub, and I'm taking it to my shower. So, and then there was a couple of people who liked it, and I think it's such a good lesson in, you know, not everything's for everyone, but end of the day, you have to indulge yourself and do what gives you pleasure, and fuck the rest.
Totally, totally. And you set such a beautiful example for those other women who are like, I don't think that's right. Like that sort of scared them. Like, I'm not going to be a part of the tribe if I made my body scrub that way. And you were like opening the space to be like, I'm courageously going to mix these and do this. And even if those women didn't say it, you like positively affected them by making that choice.
Oh, well, they may disagree when they smelt it, but yes, I get what you're saying. Yes, I just remembered what it was. It was coffee grinds. Like, I put coffee grinds in the body scrub with jasmine.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I used it all week, and it was fabulous.
Coffee and jasmine, like floral, and you've got that coffee feeling, great for cellulite and rehydration. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, so anyways, I used it. My body loved it. It was
matters.
Fantastic. And everyone else used what they liked. So it worked out great for everyone.
It did. Yes, it did.
Awesome. Great. So is there anything else that you'd like to tell the women with regards to, I guess, like any like creative blocks? I mean, I feel like you addressed it, but I wanted to give you a chance to maybe address any other stuff that comes up with the women that, show up at your events.
Well, if you are listening to this and you're like, I want that, I don't know where to start, and you can't like come to one of these events that I or other women put on, that's really what my blog is about. So every week I post on Tuesday a tutorial, and it's like a recipe. Like I show a picture of what I made and I give you the directions. And I find that that's like a really great way to just start. And even if it's like, I like to say, do it on a Sunday afternoon when you're starting to be like, oh my God, the week's coming, and you get your Sunday sads. And I just think that's a great time to just set aside an hour and make something. And so if you go to, actually, I'll make a little something for your ladies, Nadia. I just thought of this.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, so we'll call it thedabblist.com/pleasure. And I'll make a little, just like a few cool things that I've made, and like I'll put a few easy ones and a few little more complicated ones. The whole point is not perfection. The whole point is play and just trying it out. And yeah, I'm all about, like, we can sort of pontificate on like the value of play and dabble, whatever, but like I just want you guys to just start working with your hands and then like tell me how it was for you. So I'll make that page, and Nadia will give it out, and let me know what you think.
Love it. Thank you so much. What an awesome gift.
Yeah.
That's great. And yes, hopefully my clients in my community know how much I'm all about like improv and not following any directions, because I'm not a huge recipe person either. So I usually give them guidelines like, if you have some veggies, use them and add, these 2 condiments or whatever and things like that, and I encourage them to also play in the kitchen and to realize that it's okay every once in a while there's going to be a meal that doesn't taste as good as another one, and you may eat a little bit of it and not the rest. But, every like 5 times it'll come out great and one time it won't, and you'll learn how to make it better. And I think it's exactly the same thing with anything else you're doing with your hands. So with all the stuff that Becca's going to give you guys, it would be, really awesome to be going into that thinking of it as just like an experiment and trying it out and seeing when, certain stuff you're going to gravitate towards more and certain stuff is just not going to be your thing. And that's cool, but there's no way to know until you try it.
Totally. I love your philosophy, girl. I love that. It's like so important, especially with cooking. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just with anything that you create, really. And a meal is just another version of crafting. It's just with food.
Totally. Dabbling in the kitchen. Yeah.
Plus, you do a lot of that, too. I see it on your site. Yeah.
I really love it.
Cool. So so let the ladies know where they can find you online, how they can connect with you, and where they can find more of your wisdom and awesome concoctions.
Yeah, so thedabblist.com, thedabblist.com, and the best place to sort of catch me like on the daily is on Instagram, and my username is thedabblist, and I'm often just like making stuff and taking pictures of it. So if you want a little reminder to work with your hands and like just play and dabble, you can follow me there.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, ladies, check out, I mean, her site and her Instagram, so, it's a candy to the eyes. Like, I was just telling her earlier, I just want to eat every single page that she creates. So I hope you guys have the same experience and definitely check it out. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for just sharing your wisdom and all the lessons that you've learned and with my community. And I know it's going to be super exciting for them to hear, and I can't wait for them to try out a few things.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Love you guys.
Okay, thank you. All right, bye, ladies.
Bye.